Welcome to Singapore. This is like the third time I've tried to film this video for your mobility snack, and it's really starting to get annoying at this point. And it's not because people are walking through or things like that. Actually, I found a spot where people don't generally walk through as much. As you know, it's very crowded here, and it's a weekday, so I picked a day that I think most people are going to be at work and not kind of strolling through some of the nicer spaces. But still, it's a walkway, and so it's going to be heavily trafficked. I'm filming this for the third time because the first time my mic wasn't working. The second time my camera decided to shut off midway through the video, and this time is the third time, and so we'll see what happens here. We're going to start with hip cars. So let's start hip cars. You're going to come across into, actually I didn't even tell you what we're doing today with this mobility snack. That's how out of sorts I've gotten. I'm just going to keep it real with you here. So today we're going to focus on hip abduction, because oftentimes we focus on internal rotation, external rotation. We focus on flexion, extension, which are our common areas. But for the degrees of freedom of the hip, we should consider abduction and adduction as well. And so let's focus on abduction today. And we're going to start with hip cars just to bring awareness to the tissues as we normally do, and just get ourselves warmed up, prepared, and in the right mindset for mobility training. So we're going to start by bringing the leg across the body into adduction. We're going to scoop into external rotation, that hacky sack motion. It's going to flexion. We're going to begin to abduct. So open up as much as you can. Once you run out of abduction, we're going to internally rotate, move into extension, join the other knee. Extend back, rotate back and through, come back through the same path that we went through to start. We're going to do a couple more reps. Remember, your hip car is not about how it looks. It's not about, yours compared to mine. It's about where your hip is today, at this point in time and space, how your hip feels, being aware of it. So we're bringing awareness to that tissue, preparing your tissue for the work that we're going to be doing in the hip joint. So we don't have to work super hard. We're just exploring, noticing what we feel, figuring out where our hip is today, what it likes, what it doesn't like. We might get to a space and say, my hip doesn't like flexion today. I don't know why, but we're aware of it now. Or like, my hip doesn't really feel cool in internal rotation today. We're aware of that now. So now that we're aware, whatever part of the day is, we can now address it. The key to addressing issues is to become aware of them first of all. Okay, this is our second rep. Just wrap up here. Third rep. I am sweating, because this is the third time I've done this, and it's like 90 degrees out here. Even though I'm in the shade, it's still 11 a.m. So we're getting close to midday sun time. All right, so I'm gonna set that to the side. I'm gonna get my mat, and we're gonna set up in 90-90, and we're gonna focus on internal rotation. I'll meet you back here. So here we are in 90-90, focusing on this back hip here. So we're going into internal rotation. I'm gonna have you try and drop this hip down and back. So we're looking for a stretch back here in this part of the hip. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn my torso just a bit here. Once you found that stretch, we're gonna hold that stretch for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, you're gonna begin to drive the instep of the foot down into the floor. Okay, so you're gonna ramp that up to your maximal effort over time. Once you get to your maximal effort, you're gonna hold that effort for 10 to 15 seconds. After 10 to 15 seconds, you're gonna reverse that, go the opposite direction, trying to squeeze this stuff here, imagining the instep of your foot getting light on the floor. So we're squeezing this stuff behind the pocket. It should feel a little bit crampy as you try and squeeze and contract it more. Okay, so once again, 2 minute hold, Pales contraction is driving down into the floor, ramping up over time. So a slow ramp over time till you get to your max effort. Hold that max effort for 10 seconds and then relax, reverse that, go the opposite direction for your rails contraction. Hold that contraction for 10 seconds as well, and then switch sides. Pause the video, join me back here for another set of cars. Now that you've finished your hip internal rotation pales and rails, we'll focus on hip cars. So let's do a set of hip cars, just moving through that space. And I want you to pay particular attention to that abduction internal rotation portion. That's the section that we just trained. I want you to spend a little bit more time being aware of that tissue as you move through that specific spot here.